Hello everyone, this is Adrian from my channel Random Drop, and today I have something a little different for you. Lately we've been doing a lot of anime and One Piece, obviously. One Piece has dominated this channel, but I do love other things than anime as well. I love regular TV, shows, and of course video games. I do play a lot of mainstream games, but I do want to focus on the more niche things that I deeply love, and it's things that aren't really covered by most people. One of those is JRPGs. In general, JRPGs is a more niche genre overall over the years, but a lot more quality RPGs have been coming out as of recently, and there's definitely been revitalization, and a series like, for example, what we're talking about today is Xenoblade Chronicles. As someone who is a Nintendo fan, or anyone who has been a Nintendo fan, you know that Xenoblade has been quality every single one of these games, and they're very highly respected. I've actually never played Xenoblade 1 or 2. Well, I actually played 1. I got maybe 10 or 15 hours in, and just the story wasn't grabbing me, the combat wasn't grabbing me, and I pretty much dropped off on that game. And maybe I'll go back to it in the future. But Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is the game I jumped into. And I was worried that, hey, maybe I do have to play for 1 or 2 to understand what's going on, or even enjoy the game in general. I can tell you that now, that you do not have to play 1 or 2 in order to enjoy this game. I have not played that, and I've looked up to see if they're like, hey, is there like any big things that I may miss because of it? And from my understanding, it's like a couple references here and there, or maybe some like crossover stuff, but it's not important to like the whole main plot. Of course, I am only 35 hours in, but hey, I have gotten my money's worth out of those 35 hours. I can tell you that much. And the story has been incredible and has carried this game so far. So let's get into it, right? As I mentioned, the story to this game is what grabbed me at first, because the combat really wasn't doing it at first. It was just fine, a bit restrictive, but wasn't the thing that kept me going. The story it's about life and about war, and the very premise of the story, the first 5 minutes, it's like, hey, these two armies are fighting, and literally death and like killing each other is how they generate their resource that they continue on living. So basically they have to like fight each other and kill each other in order to survive in this world by filling, like basically taking people's souls or ether and filling these clocks that basically give the people a way to live at the moment. And you can definitely see like, hey, someone could really abuse that system, or there might be like people in the back like, does the world really have to be this way? Or, like, someone would very much take advantage of a system like this where war has to be perpetuated. And yeah, that's a large part of the story, like finding out like, why is the world built this way, but also like it delves into child soldiers and people who are like in their 17 to 18s that are fighting these wars all their life and trained for it, and they only have like a very short lifespan. Most of these people, most of them don't make it to like be around for 10 years. They have like an accelerated lifespan, which I think that premise is super interesting, and they dive into it with all the side characters and main characters, and like to kind of show like how they all deal with the fact that they have a limited time in this world, but the main characters want to break from that fate, obviously, and go on living. But they may not, right? They may not see tomorrow, but they do want to fight for it. And the whole premise and the cast is one of the best JRPG casts that's been out in quite a long time. There are moments where like a character does something and like I want to jump out of my chair and be like, yeah, let's fucking go, and stuff like that. There's legit funny interactions between the two characters and how they're animated. It's quite incredible, and I am so impressed by this game, even though it's a Switch game. The cutscene direction is like off the charts. They must have gotten someone who like directed anime before or something. I really don't remember this much in 1. Maybe 2 got a lot better with their cutscenes and direction, but like the action scenes, like right before a boss fight or like a big escalation in the story, dude, they're incredible and so well choreographed and framed and shot. It's made legit my like jaw drop, and it just gets you into the mood of like, oh man, I'm ready to freaking fight this dude, after everything you saw on the screen happening. And then again, the direction after the battle, the in-between parts where characters are just talking and interacting, they're very well animated. You do get the like stills of like, hey, they're just standing and talking, but there's like very few of those. Most of the cutscenes are animated and choreographed, and the characters are moving and animating in a way that they could only do in a cutscene, and it just brings the story to another level. Again, it's so well made and put together, and again with the writing and the music behind it, it just elevates it to another level and carries the game for me. Because again, I did not love the combat at the start, but let's get into that. The combat. Overall, after 10 or 15 hours in, the game does let loose a bit. It's quite overbearing for quite a while, and there's like some like weird tutorials, like you've never played a fucking RPG before, and stuff like that. And they definitely lock you down for quite a bit. But as you start unlocking more and more and more of the systems, the combat starts to shine, and you're able to customize classes and their jobs so in depth that you could make some pretty wacky builds, I imagine. Right? You cross this class with another class and take over their traits, and you make something like, I had a dual wield class that was stacking extra swings and attack speed and auto attack damage. So most of their damage was just them attacking like a crazy person, and then their attacks would actually charge up some of their abilities, and then they would just like blow up on people. And it was so much fun building that up, right? And I love using that class, but I'm also going around experimenting with other stuff. But whenever I know I need like, hey, I need someone to truck some damage, I know I can make that build and go back to it and have that character do that again, which has been so fun to experience. And leveling up in the game, it feels huge when you hit certain thresholds. When you hit 20, 30, 40, 50, it always unlocks something. Sometimes it's an extra gem slot, or an accessory slot, or a skill trait slot. They unlock huge things, and whenever you unlock a slot like that, your power level gains just jump out the roof because of the gem slots you can add, or the accessories and how you can stack them. It's, again, it just sitting there and building the characters and being like, oh, let me try this, 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 and this, this, is really fun. And you can definitely see there's probably like some optimal guides out there, right, of like, hey, best in slot, put this on this character and you have a freaking monster, right? But it's also fun for me to just experiment and find shit, right? But also I could probably look up and be like, what is so-and-so's best class and gem slots, because I want to just go truck some bosses. And in regards to like bosses and the world itself, the boss fights are really fun and incredible. There's a lot of like side bosses out in the open world that you could just run into. They have like these orange markers around their level, and those are always really fun to do and challenge yourself with. It's like, hey, I wonder if I can go do this and try it out, because the game is not too punishing. If you die, you just revert, like you just get teleported back. You still keep your stats and all that, so it's really fun to be like bash your head against the boss. It's like, hey, can I beat this or not? I remember I fought like some freaking giraffe thing that was like healing itself and doing tons of damage to my tank. I came back later and stacked some healers and like stacked in the healing circles, and eventually like DPS the freaking thing down and beat it. And it was like a level ahead of me or two. And that was really fun and rewarding to do. And I hope something like this in Final Fantasy VII Remake, because they're planning to do large zones like this, or I hope they're like this, right? There are multiple zones. It's not exactly multiple open world, but they're very large and expansive zones with their own character and like stuff to find and explore and fight. And I hope there's a lot of those fights in Final Fantasy VII Remake where you just do walk up to a freaking giant monster. It's like, yeah, let's go, because that would be really fun. I really hope if they look at this game, Square Enix, and says like, hey, I want it to be laid out just like this, because I think in terms of the open world and setup of this game, they nailed it. This is how JRPGs should be in regards to open world and combat. You are going through a journey through this land, but there's a lot of side areas where you could go explore, maybe find higher monsters that you are not supposed to fight yet, maybe find some loot, maybe find some extra bosses, but like going around exploring does feel super rewarding, and how the fast travel works, it's incredible. I can't say any more, like much more about like how good the open world setup is. I just love moving around on it. The best thing I would probably want more of is the like speed of it, or like maybe a mount to like ride around and on or something, because sometimes you have to walk some long distances. And that really just leads me to like the negatives of the game. Again, I probably mentioned before that it takes about like 10 to 15 hours to get going, which sucks. But the story is off the bat good. Like first couple hours in, you meet like most of the cast, and they kind of throw them all on you at once, which is a bit overwhelming. But that story just starts fucking rolling, man, and it is very, very good. And it is the reason I kept going. And then the combat just starts getting better and better and better and better. I am infatuated by this game so far. I have not finished it. I'm about 35 hours in, but I have seen quite a bit of it. I've gotten my money's worth, and I do want to see what happens in the end of the story. But I am wandering around too much, doing side bullshit and unlocking classes and stuff, and I'm like 10 levels ahead of the main story quest. But yeah, like it does take a while to get going in terms of combat, so I would attribute that to a negative. And with the combat, the character selection system. In terms of swapping characters, there's no like identifiable thing when you're swapping to see what character you're on and which one you're swapping next, other than the little menu that says the name of the character left or right. There's nothing on the UI on the left that's like highlighting them. And there's no, it's in desperate need of a slowdown and a radio menu so I could switch to the character I want to. Because sometimes in some of these boss fights, you have to switch. You have to be like, hey, my tank isn't getting aggro, I gotta go take control and handle this. Or like, this guy's like super out of position. Or maybe like, why is this ability not going off? Because the character swapping being so bad kind of shows you how bad the AI is at times. Because they don't really use all their abilities on cooldown. Like the best way to heal with the like gun healer is to drop the attack buff every time it's off cooldown. Like just drop that shit immediately so you can get your AoE pulse heal out faster. But at the beginning, the AI is not that competent. They're like fucking waiting around to use that shit. So the way I was getting throughout a lot of boss fights is like I would switch to the healer and make sure they use that damn ability so I could have an AoE pulse and my tanks get fucking healed, right? Healing does get better over time because there's more classes and options and you have more gear and stuff to like compensate. But at the very beginning, it's fucking rough. And the AI just makes it worse. But again, with the combat getting better and better and your options, you can like kind of carry a lot of stuff. And then there's some extra systems that get added that kind of save characters when they're in trouble, and the AI is smart enough to do that. But again, at the very beginning, you will notice that the AI is kind of fucking stupid, especially when there's like weird elevation shit or stuff like that. But again, the combat systems that get added over time do alleviate that quite a bit. And like really the last thing is the game kind of just chugs a bit sometimes. There's a lot of fucking shit going on and numbers are really big and you're seeing everyone's damage numbers. And there's fucking 6 or 7 characters, man. You start off with 3, then they give you 3 immediately, like a couple hours in. And you have a whole crew and you're like, hey, this is gonna be my crew for the game. But it's fucking overwhelming at the start. You get a bit more used to it over time, but holy shit, at the beginning it was like, wow, that's a lot of people attacking one rabbit or something like that. And it's really weird. But once you start fighting bigger monsters or multiple monsters at once, it tends to make more sense, or there's it's not as chaotic, or like you get used to it, I guess. The like chaos, it's a controlled chaos is a good way to say it. But yeah, it does work with 6 characters. But again, the selection system and all that just makes it worse. And in terms of chugging, like I really wish this game was on a next gen console, because some of the visuals in the open world, man, you're like, holy shit. And they still look beautiful, but man, I wish it was like, you know, in 4K or like actual 1080p or something running at 60 FPS. Man, I would love it, and I hope we get like an upgraded version in the future one day, because like so far this game is probably going to be one of my favorite RPGs of all time pretty soon. Like, it is at that level, 35 hours in, and the story is that good. The characters and the dialogue are that good. And then the combat just kind of, again, ramping up higher and higher and higher as time goes on. It's been awesome to see, and I know maybe like Xenoblade 1 or 2 are not going to be like that. Maybe I'll go back and try those one day, because I have a feeling like it's going to be really hard to go back. But yeah, that's how I feel about Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Like, really, you could say this is a review, because I got my money's worth with 35 hours in, and there's not much else to say about it, other than it's like fucking incredible, a little annoying at the start, but I believe it is worth the push, because again, that story and that combat is top notch. But let me know how you feel, like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.